All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our July Town Council meeting. We appreciate you being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start our evening off with the invocation, and I will be giving the invocation this evening. We ask that everyone bow their heads and take a moment, pray in your faith as I pray in mine. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for all that you've done for us. We thank you for your guidance. We pray for wisdom as we are making these decisions. We pray for guidance and direction. Lord, we thank you for everything going forward, and we just pray as we are making those decisions that you guide and direct us. In your name I pray, amen. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance. So tonight we are pleased to have Benjamin Chavis here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Before Mr. Chavis comes forward, I would like to share his story and explain why he was selected to be recognized this evening. In the summer of 2024, Benjamin and his family were headed to Knightdale Station Park for the 4th of July event. They parked at Northside Community Church, where Benjamin noticed a small structure with food inside. Being the curious teenager he is, he went over to check it out. The box had a QR code on it and explained that it was a compassion box, a place where people can come and get food if they need it, no questions asked. Benjamin scanned the code, read about the mission, and was immediately moved. Right then, he decided that he wanted to help. With his own money from lifeguarding, he bought groceries and went back to fill the box. When he returned the next day, everything was gone. That moment really opened his eyes. Benjamin later met with Amy, who manages the compassion box for Northside Community Church, and she told him how quickly the food disappears and how the real need is in the community. That lit a fire in Benjamin, and he took to Facebook and started a donation drive so he could fill the box regularly. Over the past year, Benjamin has raised over $3,600 to support the compassion box. He continues to shop for groceries, to stock the box, and make sure that people in our community don't go without. He recently collaborated with Caketown Bakery for a donation day to raise more funds to fill the box. Benjamin lives right here in Knightdale and is about to start his senior year of high school. Benjamin, we are so proud. We are thankful for you and your generous spirit, your willingness to serve the community. You are truly an inspiration to all. So while Benjamin makes his way to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, can we all give him a round of applause?
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Such a proud moment. Thank you again. Thank you for giving back to the community that you live in. And thank you for being an example for what others can do, just doing something small and what a small thing can have a major impact. So we appreciate you. And thank you to the parents as well. All right, next we are going to have the adoption of the agenda. Any changes to tonight's agenda, questions, comments?
Motion for acceptance of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves, motion carries. We will go with the agenda as is for this evening. First, with presentations, recognitions, and awards. Parks and Recreation Month proclamation. Parks and Recreation play a vital role in enhancing the quality of life in our community, promoting physical and mental well-being, and fostering a sense of connection among residents. Our amazing parks and recreation professionals, including dedicated staff, volunteers, and advocates, work tirelessly to create and maintain safe, clean, and inviting spaces for the enjoyment and benefit of all of our community members. Since 1985, July has been nationally recognized as Parks and Recreation Month, providing an opportunity to celebrate the significant contributions of parks and recreation to our communities and to raise awareness about their importance. So therefore, I, Jessica Day, Mayor of the town of Knightdale, do hereby proclaim July as Parks and Recreation Month here in the town of Knightdale. And I encourage all residents to take advantage of our parks, green spaces, and recreational opportunities, and to participate in the various events and activities organized by our amazing Parks and Recreation Department. And next is our public comment period. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? If so, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, then I will move to reports on citizen inquiries. Any reports on citizen inquiries from council? All right. If not, moving to the consent agenda. Any questions, comments, or motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves, motion carries. We'll move to our public hearings for the evening. First public hearing is AN-4-23, Lynden Oaks annexation. Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I have two public hearings in front of you tonight, kind of back to back, related to the same case. And so as we go through that, I know we received a number of public comments. I just want to remind and reiterate both to the town council, to our development partners, and to the public that the question tonight is not whether to approve or disapprove the Lynden Oaks subdivision. The first public hearing is a question of annexation. That is whether the town should annex it to extend public services to the already approved development. The question of the development agreement is to memorialize the commitments made by the development team through the rezoning process last July, and to put those into an agreement in consideration for the town services, and to also put that in a phasing plan that correlates with the delivery of lots to ensure that the commitments of the developer are in place in time when those impacts are anticipated. So with that being said, we're still working on that phasing plan with the developer. And so for tonight's purposes, they have requested that both the annexation and the development agreement be continued. So our recommendation is to open the public hearing, receive any public comment, and then a motion to continue the annexation to the August 20th, 2025 Town Council meeting. Happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions or comments from council before we open the floor? All right. If not, thank you, Mr. Brown. This is a public hearing item. Since we did have it stated, we do want to open the floor for anyone who has a comment to share. If you do, you may come forward at this time. Just as a reminder, please be sure to have signed in the speaker sheet located at the entry table. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. We do have a timer here that will show at the end of the time. And we do ask that large groups designate a spokesperson. Lastly, be sure to state your name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Karen Palco. I live at 121 Meadow Circle in Knightdale. I want to first say I heard so many comments from so many people telling me not to come here tonight, that the town council didn't care, it was all about money. I'm choosing to believe that you will listen and you will hear, and you do care about the town of Knightdale. This isn't a statement against development or progress or change. This is just a statement about development that we feel is detrimental and overwhelming to the town. According to the Knightdale development page, there are over 9,000 housing units approved or already under construction, with 1,000 more proposed. And the developers and the town say that we've notified the schools and we're making road improvements, but that's almost like shouting into the void. All of the road improvements that are currently being done will be obsolete by the time they'll be obsolete before they're even finished. We're pushing our schools, our police department, our fire department to the point of breaking, and not to mention the burden on the current Knightdale residents. Why must a housing unit be crammed into every available space allowed by building codes? The town claims to want to preserve open land, but a community garden or a walking trail, that's not open land. Open land is open land with no man-made features. Quite honestly, if we wanted to live in the city of Raleigh, we would have moved to Raleigh. We want to stay in the town of Knightdale. We love Knightdale. So I would ask that as you move forward, taking a step back or perhaps pressing pause on this flood of housing and development to ensure Knightdale remains a place that people want to move to and want to remain in. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. You have comments?
Good evening. My name is Lance Van Dyke, and I haven't been here for the past 20 years for something to concern my property or anything. One question I do have is, when this development or the annexation come in, will that affect me getting service? I live on 4513 Old Faison Road. Will the annexation affect me in lieu of the project coming in, and or that, that I don't have that service now, and I don't know whether I want to change city water, and I don't know whether I'll be able to get septic or not. Will that affect my property, my address? 4513 Old Faison Road.
Can we connect you with the staff member, and then we can get a detailed answer for you?
Okay.
So if we
thank
could
you.
have a staff member to give some information and follow up with you. Thank you for your question. Any more comments? Anyone else here this evening that would like to share a comment? All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to our town clerk, Ms. Smith, to share written comments that we have received.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. We received 3 written comments for the Lynden Oaks annexation hearing. Since you've all received those comments via email, I'll just briefly summarize this evening. Samantha Stockey, 301 Heathwick Drive, expressed opposition to AN 4-25, noting concerns related to congestion, deforestation, and habitat destruction. Sarah Hauser, 4228 Cahill Road, expressed opposition to AN 4-25, sharing concerns related to infrastructure, traffic, and the proposed roundabout. And Katina Hanks, 1013 Stone Eagle Lane in Raleigh, North Carolina, expressed opposition to AN 4-25, citing concerns related to increased traffic and crime. So the full comments will be included in the official record of the meeting. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Now we'll bring it back to council.
I'll motion that, unless there's discussion, I'll go ahead on and carry the motion that we continue AN 425 to the August 20th, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. Now we will move to ZMA-2-23 Lynden Oaks Development Agreement.
Thank you once again, Mayor, members of the council. As I previously stated, the purpose of a development agreement is really to memorialize all the commitments that developer made during the rezoning process into a development agreement that also expresses the town's commitment to providing the public services to make the development happen. And that is all phased over time as the development comes online to ensure that the impacts of the development are being mitigated by the improvements for the by the developer. And so we are still in the process of working on that phasing schedule with the development team. And due to that, the development team has also requested that the development agreement be continued to the August 20th meeting. So our recommendation tonight is to open the public hearing, receive any public comment, and then continue the Lynden Oaks development agreement decision to the August 20th town council meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. I don't think we have any questions from council. So if not, we'll open the floor for this as well. This is for the development agreement. We want to make sure that we give space if this is a public hearing item. If there's anyone here tonight that wishes to speak on this item, you may come forward. All right. If not, at this time, I'll turn it over to our town clerk, Ms. Smith, to share written comments we've received.
Thank you again, Mayor Day. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We did receive 5 written comments for the Lynden Oaks Development Agreement hearing. Again, since you've received those comments via email, I'll just briefly summarize. Kaylee Gilham, 4202 Twin Spires Drive, expressed opposition, sharing concerns regarding roads, schools, and traffic. Cynthia Palachek, 4607 Smarty Jones Drive, expressed opposition, citing concerns about road congestion, lights, traffic flow, and growth. Alicia Stout, 4921 Sweet Chestnut Lane in Raleigh, expressed opposition, citing concerns regarding infrastructure, water runoff, and traffic. Ryan Skoll, 4410 Cahill Road, expressed opposition, inquiring about plans for wildlife and water runoff. And Brittany Parsons, 1532 Sunday Silence Drive, expressed opposition, sharing concerns about traffic, road capacity, construction, and the need for more businesses to boost the economy. As I mentioned earlier, the full comments will be included in the official record of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those as well, Ms. Smith. I'll bring it back to our council. Any questions or motion?
No one has any questions or comments. I will go ahead and make a motion to continue the Lynden Oaks Development Agreement to the August 20, 2025 Town Council meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves, motion carries. We'll move to our next item, which is AN-3-23 Hinton Oaks Industrial Park Annexation. Mr. Lewis.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am here to present the annexation public hearing for Hinton Oaks Industrial Park Lot 10. So as you will recall, this is a voluntary petition for a contiguous annexation into the town limits. This is about 60 acres in size at the end of Hinton Oaks Boulevard within the Hinton Oaks Industrial Park development. The current use, it's currently part of the Wakestone Quarry. However, it has been subdivided, and in February of 2023, land use amendment or zoning map amendment was approved to rezone this parcel and to approve a 213,000 square foot warehouse building. So here's a look at the master plan for that site. The developer is working towards breaking ground on that site, and they are needing the site to be annexed in order to do so. This is the annexation plat as well for that 60 acres. I mentioned it's a voluntary petition and it's contiguous. At last month's town council meeting, a resolution was adopted to set the public hearing for tonight, and following that, the town clerk did certify the petition itself. We included a full cost-benefit breakdown within the staff report that you all received last week. And here's a quick snapshot of that. I will just highlight here that the town Services and expenditures for a development like this are relatively low, especially compared to residential developments. So you'll see a high net revenue there on a year-to-year basis. Happy to answer any questions about the site or annexation petition if there are any, but our recommendation would be, after receiving public comment, to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 25-7-16-003 and annex the area. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any questions from council? Comments? All right. Thank you. Once again, this is a public hearing item. We will now open the floor. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on this item? If so, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, then we'll bring it back to our council for any questions, last comments, or a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 25-7-16-3, effectively annexing the area.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Majority approves, motion carries. All right, now we'll move to old business. ZMA-8-24, Clifton Road, Conservation Subdivision. Mr. Lewis.
Great, thank you again. So for this case, we'll be reviewing the master plan that was submitted and the updates that have been changed since the joint public hearing. We'll also talk about the LURB's review and their recommendation that they made last month, and then end with discussing the proposal's consistency with the comprehensive plan. So this site, as you know, is located off Clifton Road. It's about 32 acres north of the Poplar Creek Village Phase 4 and south of I-87. It's currently zoned RR1, Rural Residential 1, very low density residential, and again surrounded by, to the south, the Pine Country Estates neighborhood and Poplar Creek Phase 4, and then other parcels zoned RR1. Just to the west is land that's owned by NCDOT, and it's going to be the major interchange at I-87 and 540 when that is complete in a couple of years. The applicant submitted a zoning map amendment to rezone this parcel to general residential 3 planned unit development, which would allow for up to 3 units an acre. Duncan Land Consultants is the applicant and the developer is D.R. Horton. They're proposing 95 residential lots on the parcel, which would equal 2.96 units per acre and about 4.5 acres of recreational open space. So the applicant has met all of the required points on the timeline, including the joint public hearing a couple months ago and the Land Use Review Board meeting last month. On May 15th, the joint public hearing was held, and at that meeting we discussed the conservation neighborhood place type within the comprehensive plan, the housing product, greenway connectivity, parking, and landscaping. Last month, the Land Use Review Board met, and we again at that meeting discussed the comprehensive plan, housing variety, and environmental impacts. The Land Use Review Board voted unanimously to recommend denial and forwarded the advisory statement that is here on the screen and that reads, the proposed zoning map amendment is inconsistent with the Knightdale Next version 2 2035 comprehensive plans, intentional growth areas map, secondary growth area, and future land use designation as a conservation neighborhood place type. The request is not reasonable nor in the public interest as it fails to support the guiding principles of the Knightdale Next comprehensive plan. So since the joint public hearing, the applicant has made some updates to the master plan. First, parking. We talked a lot about the need for additional parking on this site. The applicant has been able to provide 2 parking spaces per residential unit, both for the single-family lots and each of the cottage units, and that takes parking in the form of off-street parking in the 4 parking lots around the site, as well as on-street parking surrounding the main cottage area there. The applicant did not make any changes to the housing products themselves, although the desire for a 50-foot wide lot has been expressed that it would be more equitable when looking at the character of the cottage court units themselves and not having a much larger house surrounding those. And then finally, traffic calming. The applicant has made some improvements there by adding mid-block crossings, raised mid-block crossings throughout the subdivision on Road B there, strategically located to help slow down traffic along with the on-street parking and to provide connectivity for residents to access more recreational open spaces throughout. At the joint public hearing, you will recall that the applicant is protecting about 8.26 acres of environmentally sensitive areas, including floodplains, wetlands, and stream buffers. Beyond that, they would be preserving 10 acres in total, which would remain undeveloped, so about a third of the site will remain undeveloped. The conservation neighborhood is a new comprehensive plan neighborhood place type that was introduced last year when the plan was updated. The applicant is proposing multiple green stormwater infrastructure devices throughout the site. They are also proposing to provide a fee in lieu to help eliminate a stream crossing, so we're protecting more of the natural environment to limit that stream crossing. And they're also showing EV charging stations in the parking lots throughout the site. The proposal is consistent with the water allocation policy, meeting the minimum 50 points needed to connect to water and sewer. They're proposing a planned unit development rezoning with a base zoning district of GR3. Council can request but not require additional conditions beyond what is laid out in the staff report. There are a number of site development allowances that we won't go through one by one, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have any. But those site development allowances include one principal dwelling unit per lot, the dimensional standards and setback standards, residential clearing and grading, the design criteria around roadways, the distribution of uses, the connectivity index, and non-conforming street frontages. The applicant did provide additional zoning conditions beyond the site development allowances and the master plan itself that take form in 3 major points. The first being the greenway connection through NCDOT-owned land to the west to the greenway within Poplar Creek. We have started that conversation with NCDOT and the Turnpike Authority to make sure that they're on board and we are able to make that connection happen, whether it's by the developer now or by the town in the future at the conclusion of I-540 being built. So that the first bullet point there talks about that and the timing around that one. The second zoning condition reads that consistent with the UDO section on development allowances, the property owner, the site itself shall be developed in substantial accordance with the master plan, and then the land use administrator may review and approve site development allowances consistent with the UDO section that talks about plan unit developments and site development allowances. It allows for a little bit more flexibility without having to bring it back to y'all for more minor site development allowances or changes to the site plan itself. So I'm happy to answer any questions about those if you have any, but if not, we can move on. Just want to give a break if there are any. All right. So the applicant also included architectural elevations and architectural standards within the rezoning as well. These were slightly tweaked and updated since the joint public hearing, and I'm not going to go through these again one by one, but I'm happy to answer any questions about these in general. They are working to be more consistent with other standards that have been proposed and approved for similar developments across town in the recent past. So zooming out, looking at the comprehensive plan, as you know, the general statutes require that town council adopt a advisory statement prior to adoption or rejection of a zoning map amendments. So first, on the intentional growth areas map, this parcel is located in the secondary growth area, which is just outside of the areas where there's a lot of infrastructure already in place. It would require more significant investments in extending utilities to the site to allow for it to be developed. And one thing I'll point out on the intentional growth areas map definition for a secondary growth area is that other areas on the map include large undeveloped parcels that provide opportunities to be forward-thinking about a vision for conservation and development that includes a mix of uses or densities that create new energized centers, corridors, or neighborhoods in the community. Next, looking at the small town, urban small town framework map, this is along a rural preservation corridor. Clifton Road is a rural preservation corridor. And these are corridors further out from Knightdale's core that have more of a rural or agricultural past, and the developments that are occurring along those corridors should embrace that with things like fencing, landscaping, and setbacks. Finally, the future place type map, again, designates this as a conservation neighborhood future place type. And this definition is provided in your staff reports, but I'm happy to answer any questions about this. But as I mentioned a few slides ago, there are a number of features within the site that are consistent with the conservation neighborhood definition and the key characteristics that are described herein. This falls within the neighborhoods transect on the future place type transect map as well. And of the 8 guiding principles within the comprehensive plan, staff feels there are 5 of those which are consistent, or 5 which the proposal is consistent with, including providing home and neighborhood choices, being environmentally sustainable and stewarding the environment, creating an inclusive, livable town, promoting multimodal transportation, and creating a sense of place within the development itself. It's consistent with a number of key strategic plan goals for safety, connectivity, and inclusiveness, and sustainability. And it falls outside of any the service area of any current Knightdale parks, the closest being the Panther Rock Park on Hardin Hill Lane. Also, when looking at the affordable Knightdale plan, there are a number of recommendations within this plan that the proposal is consistent with, including expanding housing options, creating mixed income neighborhoods, and creating an inclusive and livable environment for residents of all income types. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but our motion or our recommendation as staff would be to approve ZMA 8-24, adopt a staff recommended advisory statement, and adopt ordinance 25-7-16-4. And the staff recommended advisory statement reads that the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the Knightdale Next version 2 2035 comprehensive plan, as it addresses several of the guiding principles, such as embracing and promoting the elements of an inclusive, livable town via placemaking and expanding home choices, while creating a sustainable, environmentally sensitive neighborhood. When implementing the playbook approach, the proposal is consistent with the intentional growth areas map, as pedestrian and utility infrastructure improvements allow a reclassification to a primary growth area. Furthermore, the proposal creates a rural preservation corridor and includes elements of the conservation neighborhood future place type. The request is reasonable and in the public interest, as it aids in developing vibrant, sustainable, and safe community design in which people not only desire to visit, but also live, work, and play. Also have the LURB recommended advisory statement up here if you wish to reference that. But again, happy to answer any questions about the proposal if there are any.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
So you mentioned the Greenway connection after 540 was complete.
Yes.
Do we have any idea of timeline on that, when they expect that parcel will be done or that it will be done?
We're still waiting to get more clarity from NCDOT on that. They're obviously starting from further south and working towards 87, but we're still working through the finer details with DOT on that.
One additional question. I know one of the topics that we discussed during the public hearing was the potential for assigned parking spots for the cottages. Was that addressed through this, or is that something that'll be taken up during the HOA process when that's formed?
Yes, so we did talk about that with the applicant following the joint public hearing. Right now, there's nothing in the master plan or as part of the PUD that would require that or specify or really talk about that, but the applicant has been willing to continue that discussion. I think getting to 2 parking spaces, 2 spaces per residential unit was a good first step, so we'll continue to have those discussions with them and see where we can make sure that those future residents have close, accessible parking.
Well, I know another concern we had was sort of with the smaller lots, and I'd asked that they sort of mitigate that, and I think what I've seen with some of the architectural features with the garage doors and the porches, I feel like has done that. Another thing I noted with the really tight radius is there might be an opportunity. I would really encourage to look at the inside part of that radius, if there might be a different curb type, almost a mountable type curb, and also looking at maybe even paving a little strip, sort of like we do on the inside of roundabouts. I just think about fire trucks, school buses, whatever it may be, that start tearing up the curb or even tear up a vehicle. I think in those areas in particular, it's good that there's no parking there, but I just think about the longevity and, eventually that maintenance falling back on the town, if that could be something that could be addressed in those areas in particular. I think
Sure.
that could really tighten this up a little bit better.
Yeah.
If we have no more questions, may I have a motion?
I think this is one of those. Okay.
Well, let me say this. So having been at the LURB meeting and heard some of the concerns that was brought up by the LURB, which I think they did an amazing job of really challenging the developer to really look through some of the concerns that have been raised from, the street radius areas, from the parking allocations. I do think that the cottage design is a very unique design that will add to, sort of the mix of housing here in Knightdale. I do think that the site is constrained from both the size as well as the environmental features, but I do think that they have come up with a pretty successful plan to add to a creative mix here in Knightdale. And so I was just going to say all of that in alignment with the emotion, unless, you had something further to add.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was essentially going to say the same thing. This is one of those projects where, you can see it evolve over time and the responsiveness of the developer to the process. The process is doing exactly what it's designed to.
Precisely.
I'll give you the motion.
So with that, I will motion to approve ZMA-8-24, adopt the staff recommended advisory statement, and adopt ordinance 2507-16-004.
And I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. Next, we'll move to our new business, Hometown Hero Banner Program. Ms. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about something I'm really excited about, a proposal for a Hometown Heroes Banner Program here in Knightdale. So the town of Knightdale is grateful to those who bravely answered the call to serve our country. And as a town, we strive to honor our veterans along with their families for the sacrifices that they've made through various programs, services, and events. And so to provide a little background and context, I just want to share some of those programs and events with you. So as you know, we have our beautiful Veterans Memorial located at Knightdale Station Park to serve as a permanent reminder of the important sacrifices that our local veterans have made. In addition, we have our Veterans Memorial Advisory Board that was created to advise council, make recommendations for names to be engraved at that memorial, and to also advise on other ways to recognize the veteran community. Every year, the town hosts an annual Memorial Day ceremony in which we unveil newly engraved names on our monuments. And we also partner with the 2 Green Thumbs Garden Club to host a Veterans Day tribute and a Wreaths Across America ceremony. And lastly, we participate in Operation Greenlight every year to support our veterans and to raise awareness about the challenges that they face, especially when returning to civilian life. So we do this through the adoption of a resolution and promotion throughout the community, usually in October or November. So with all of that, I want to share with you a new initiative that our advisory board has advocated for, something that we can do in our community to recognize and honor the veterans currently living here. And so staff supports this request, and we are proposing that we implement a military banner program. So there's a couple of examples here of what that could look like around town. Want to share some information with you about conversations held at the advisory board about what this program could look like. So the criteria for the banner program would be similar to that of our Veterans Memorial, except this would be for veterans that are currently living here in the community. So veterans of all branches would be eligible to be recognized: active duty, National Guard, Reserve, and living veterans. The honoree must reside in Knightdale or must have resided in Knightdale for a significant portion of their life and have made contributions to the Knightdale community. They must also, of course, verify military status and or honorable discharge. The Veterans Memorial Advisory Board would review applications just like they do for the Veterans Memorial and make recommendations to you all as the council. So we have worked with the Public Works Department, and we have identified area around the Veterans Memorial with 30 poles that we could utilize for this program. So that's on the map there in front of you, along First Avenue, Wilder Nursery Trail, and Knightdale Station Run. And some of these poles currently have banners, or Start Something banners, and some do not. So there's a mix, but the good thing is some of them already have the hardware that we would need. I think I lost boundary here. There we go. Cost. So the banners that we're looking at are the same size as the ones we currently have, the Start Something banners, so that it can utilize the hardware in place. So they range from $125 to $150 each. We would need to buy hardware for some of the banners and some of the poles, so that's $70 to $100 each. We would need to rent a lift, and our Public Works Department could utilize that to place the banners and to remove them when it's time for them to come down. So the initial year would be the most costly, just to get everything up and running. That would be about $16,000. This number assumes we receive 30 applications the first go round. And also this was already approved in the budget. So thank you for your consideration of veterans programs. And we're hoping that we can utilize those funds for something like this. Also have a proposed timeline to share with you. So the budget was adopted last month. This month we're coming to you with the proposal for your consideration. If this is a program that you're interested in moving forward with, we could begin advertising and accepting applications as early as next month. And our advisory board could review those simultaneously while they're reviewing the names for the Veterans Memorial. And then in January, we could come before you to present names for both programs. And if approved, we could begin moving forward with production, and you could see banners in July up on the poles. So the board has discussed a time frame, and we would like to display them from July through November of each year. So the Veterans Memorial Advisory Board, we've talked about this probably for a year or so now, but we specifically dove into the proposal this evening at their last meeting in June, and they voted unanimously to forward it to you for consideration, along with the recommendation that the following information be displayed on the banner itself. So that would be the name of the veteran, their photo, their branch of service, and their years of service. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and it would be our recommendation that you authorize the implementation of the Hometown Heroes banner program here in Knightdale.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Exciting program. Any questions or comments?
So I've seen this very thing. If you go to Roseville and take Rogers Road, going to Wake Forest, and I can't think of the name of the road, but turn at the credit union.
Yes.
It's displayed through there. I thought it was really neat. One question, so there's sort of the locations listed here, but I'm assuming those could be moved around, because one thing I think about is along walking trails, not just places that are more accessible by car. There's a lot of walking in this area in general. I think that would be fine, but I'm just you know, I think they could be moved pretty easily is my question. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I can consult with Public Works on where we have available poles along walking trails, but I think the initial idea was near the memorial and around that plaza, but we could certainly explore other locations.
And I'm thinking sort of the continuation of the Greenway Trail, is it Whistle Stop Post or something that just runs sort of through by the bike rack, sort of in there is one area I think
Okay.
about.
Yeah, we can look into that.
None of the others? All right.
Go ahead and make a motion to authorize the implementation of a Hometown Heroes banner program in Knightdale.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Thank you for the efforts on this. Next is Advisory Board Committee reports. Opportunity for council members to give any updates from any recent advisory boards or committees, any updates to share. All right. If not, then that will take us into tonight. We will need to go into closed session after this meeting or at this time. So at this time, I have a motion to, motion to enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143(3)18.11A5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. So we will now take a moment and end our regular meeting, and then we will go into our closed session. So thank you all for joining us this evening. Thank you for joining us for our July council meeting, and have a good rest of your evening.